Hey everybody, this is Joe from Home Crush. Full disclosure, I hate being in front of the camera. I'd much rather write a blog post, but since nobody reads anymore, here we are. The reason you're looking at my mug today is because there's a story behind this review. It's a story only a camera nerd would care about, but a story nonetheless. I intended to do a review of this guy, the Hoya IR and UV cut filter. If I get this just right, you might be able to see, yep, you can see how it catches the infrared. This is not that review. While creating a review of Micah's new 50mm cine lens, I grabbed some quick footage of my daughter at the park. When I got it back into Resolve, I was really disappointed with the color. The grass looked kind of dingy brown, and the skin tones just seemed off. Not at all what I've come to expect from the Pocket 4K. Now, I had been shooting in the middle of the day in direct sunlight, which means I was using heavy neutral density filtration, minimum 4 stops. And like I said, I was shooting on a Blackmagic Design Pocket Cinema 4K. And as you may know, BMD cameras do not include a built-in infrared cut filter. So, in addition to my ND filter, I had the Hoya right in front of the lens. I began to suspect that the Hoya filter wasn't up to the task. I'm not going to get into a lengthy explanation of when and why you need an infrared cut filter, but the short version is, if you're blocking a lot of visible light with an ND filter, the proportion of infrared light hitting your sensor goes way up. Without enough visible light to overwhelm the infrared light, your image becomes polluted. This typically manifests as brownish greens and an ugly magenta cast in dark neutrals. It looks terrible, and while you can try to salvage the footage, it's pretty much impossible to truly correct it in post. Okay, so my footage of my beautiful daughter looks like crap, and I suspect this Hoya filter. It seemed unlikely to me that Hoya sells something that simply doesn't work. Maybe I did something wrong, but how do you F up using a filter? I mean, you just screw it on, right? That's when I began to wonder if the order of the Hoya in the stack of glass between the subject and the sensor had an impact on its performance. So, time for a controlled test. And this is where the story gets interesting. Here's what I did. I put a black cloth, a color chart, and the aforementioned daughter in front of the camera again, under direct sunlight again. The sun was bright enough that I had to max out my variable ND at 8 stops. I did 4 variations of the test. First, I shot the scene exactly as I did at the park. The Hoya filter was behind a SERP variable ND. Then, the Mica 50mm cine lens, wide open, at T2. Next, I put the IR filter in front of the ND. Third, I kept the ND but eliminated the IR filter completely. And finally, I removed both filters and just used shutter speed and aperture to knock down the exposure to the same level. So, what did I find? Did the order of the filters make a difference? Nope. Did anything make a difference? I thought I could see a small difference in the grass and the black cloth when reviewing the log footage, but nothing like I would expect with 8 stops of ND. And after applying a Rec 709 LUT, I really couldn't see a difference at all. The next step was to measure the differences, because neither Shakira's hips nor DaVinci Resolve scopes lie. Scopes confirmed there was no appreciable difference in color between any version of the test. What the what? Well, damn it. Let's control this test even more then. Let's do it in the studio. I blasted a 300-watt LED at that effing chart and did the same 4 steps. Anything? Nope. Again, what the hell? We know BMD cameras are susceptible to IR pollution. And if we're blocking 8 steps of visible light, we're surely going to reveal some infrared light. Have you figured it out yet? If the color matches in all 4 shots, 3 things must be true. 1, the Hoya IR UV filter does not introduce a color cast. 2, the SERP variable ND does not introduce a color cast. And 3, the SERP variable ND effectively blocks infrared light. There's nothing for the Hoya filter to do. So while I set out to test the Hoya filter, what I accomplished was testing the SERP filter. And as it turns out, a company that everyone thinks of as the slider guys makes a damn good variable ND filter. So what went wrong with my original footage to send me down this rabbit hole? Hell if I know.